So what do you think about the idea of white privilege?
First of all, the idea, it's usually vaguely defined, but the idea is that as a white person, you benefit from racism even if you are not racist. So like you benefit from the fact that like you're not followed around in a store suspiciously. You're not pulled over for driving at 10 o'clock at night. There's all of these little ways that you benefit and that black people don't. And I agree that that's a real phenomenon. And it's important to take seriously that those are real phenomenon, that there are things in which that to be a white person in America and maybe some other countries, you are treated in a way that's different from the way that black people are treated. But I think is a very big mistake to put that in terms of privilege, and for two fundamental reasons. So one, and this is a point that my friend Greg Salmieri, he's made this point. I think it's so important. Privilege assumes or implies that that's to my benefit, but it's not to my benefit. Injustice is not to my benefit. I benefit from a country where every rational being is able to make the most of their lives and is treated fairly. I benefit from living in a just society. And so I'm as outraged as I would be, from a person who did nothing wrong, being treated as a criminal, as I would be if I was one of those people. And maybe if I can't relate to it quite as much, I still objectively see that's an injustice and I oppose it. Related to that, though, privilege is putting the focus on the recipient, right? It's saying you, the person who is not being followed around a store, you're the problem. You have privilege. And it's detracting from our focus, which should be the people committing the injustice. The problem is, who are people falling around or pulling over a black person because of the color of their skin when they shouldn't be? What we want to do is expand justice. And so our focus should be on not white privilege, but black injustice. Injustice more broadly, but I think it's a unique problem, at least in the US, which is the area I'm most familiar with, of real race injustice. And you want to remedy that. And then if you just think, if your goal was really to remedy injustice, that was what you were trying to achieve, well, you would want to bring into the fold as many people, particularly the people that you yourself recognize as having more influence in the system, onto your side. And so this, though, is designed to alienate those people. And so you think, well, why would anybody do that? Well, they would do it if their whole goal was not to remedy the injustice, but to instill guilt in order to rule, in order to have power. And that's why it's the people who are putting forward this ideology. And this is really comes from critical race theory. It is not an ideology aimed at remedying injustice. It is an ideology of changing who benefits from injustice. And I think it's monstrously evil.